Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a successful banker named Thomas Okonkwo. Thomas was a handsome man in his early 30s with a good job at First Heritage Bank, a nice apartment in Lekki, and a comfortable life that many young men would envy. But despite all his success, Thomas had one problem that kept him awake at night. He was still unmarried. Thomas had a very strong belief that shaped his view of marriage. He would tell anyone who cared to listen, "City girls are too sophisticated, too demanding, and too corrupt. They only care about money, designer bags, and expensive trips to Dubai. I need a simple, humble village girl who knows how to take care of a home and respect her husband." His best friend, a sharp and intelligent woman named Jennifer, would always shake her head whenever Thomas repeated this opinion. Jennifer and Thomas had been friends since their university days at the University of Lagos. She was now a successful lawyer, and she knew Thomas better than anyone else. One Saturday afternoon, as they sat in Jennifer's living room sipping cold Chapman drinks, Thomas brought up the marriage topic again. "Jennifer, I'm telling you, my mind is made up. I'm going to my village next month to find a proper wife, a woman with home training, not these Instagram girls who can't even boil water without posting it online," Thomas declared with absolute confidence. Jennifer nearly choked on her drink. "Thomas, are you still on this matter? Please think carefully. Village or city, a woman's character has nothing to do with where she comes from. It's about the individual person. You're making a big mistake with this generalization." "You don't understand, Jennifer. You're a woman, so you are defending your fellow women. But I know what I'm doing. My mother has already told me about several good girls in the village who would make excellent wives." "Thomas, listen to me as your friend," Jennifer pleaded, leaning forward with concern in her eyes. "I'm not defending anyone. I'm just saying that character is character, whether the person is from the village or the city. You can't judge someone based on their background alone. What if this village girl disappoints you?" Thomas laughed and waved his hand dismissively. "Impossible! Village girls are different. They are trained to be good wives from childhood. They know how to cook, clean, and take care of their husbands. That's the kind of woman I need in my life." Jennifer sighed deeply, knowing that her stubborn friend had already made up his mind. "Okay, Thomas, I've said my own. When you marry and things go wrong, don't say I didn't warn you." "Nothing will go wrong, Jennifer. Just wait and see. In 6 months, you'll be attending my wedding and eating plenty of jollof rice," Thomas said with a confident smile. True to his word, Thomas traveled to his village in Enugu State the following month. His mother, Mama Okonkwo, was overjoyed that her son was finally ready to settle down. She had been praying for this moment for years. "My son, I have the perfect girl for you," Mama Okonkwo said excitedly. "Her name is Alice Nwanko. She's from a good family in the next village. She's 24 years old, very beautiful and very respectful. She stopped school at primary 6 because her father couldn't afford to continue her education. But she's a very smart girl. She helps her mother with everything: cooking, farming, taking care of the younger children. She's exactly what you are looking for." Thomas's eyes lit up. "That sounds perfect, Mama. When can I meet her?" The meeting was arranged for the following Sunday after church. When Thomas first saw Alice, he was completely mesmerized. Alice was indeed a stunning beauty: dark, smooth skin, bright eyes, a shy smile, and a humble demeanor that Thomas found absolutely charming. Alice wore a simple but neat Ankara dress, and she greeted Thomas with a respectful curtsy, keeping her eyes lowered in the traditional show of respect. Throughout their conversation, which Mama Okonkwo supervised, Alice spoke softly, answered questions politely, and displayed all the qualities that Thomas had been searching for. "I can cook any Nigerian dish, sir," Alice said when Thomas asked about her skills. "Jollof maize, egusi soup, bitter leaf soup, Pounded yam, fufu, anything you want. I also know how to keep a house clean and organized. My mother taught me everything." Thomas was sold immediately. He didn't need any more convincing. Within 3 weeks, he had paid Alice's bride price, and within 2 months, they had a beautiful traditional wedding ceremony in the village, followed by a small church blessing. Jennifer attended the wedding with mixed feelings. She was happy for her friend, but something in her spirit wasn't settled. She watched Alice carefully throughout the ceremony and noticed how the young woman's eyes wandered around, taking in everything with an expression that Jennifer couldn't quite read. After the wedding, Thomas brought Alice back to Lagos to begin their new life together. For the first 3 months, everything was absolutely perfect. In fact, it was better than Thomas had ever imagined. Alice was the model wife. Every morning she would wake up at 5 o'clock, prepare a delicious breakfast of yam and egg sauce, or bread and akara, or even jollof rice if Thomas wanted it. The house was always spotlessly clean. You could literally see your reflection on the floor. All of Thomas's clothes were washed, ironed, and arranged neatly in the wardrobe. The bathroom sparkled, the kitchen shined, and Alice herself always looked fresh and beautiful, with her hair neatly plaited and her face glowing. Thomas would call Jennifer almost every week to boast about his perfect marriage. "Jennifer, I told you that village girls are the best. My wife is amazing. She cooks 3 times a day. The house is always clean. My clothes are always ready. I come home from work to hot food and a clean house. I'm living in paradise. You need to find yourself a village husband too," Thomas would tease. Jennifer would simply say, "I'm happy for you, Thomas. I hope it continues like this." But then, something strange began to happen. Around the 4th month of their marriage, Alice started to change, slowly at first, then more dramatically. It began with small things that Thomas initially ignored. Alice would sleep a little later in the morning. Sometimes breakfast wasn't ready when Thomas woke up. The house wasn't cleaned as thoroughly as before. Thomas mentioned it casually one evening. "Alice, is everything okay? I noticed you're waking up a bit later these days." "Oh, sorry, my husband. I've just been feeling a little tired. But don't worry, I'll do better," Alice replied sweetly. Thomas believed her and thought nothing more about it. But the changes continued and became worse. By the 5th month, the situation had completely deteriorated. Alice stopped cooking altogether. When Thomas would come home from work hungry and tired after a long day at the bank, he would find Alice lying on the couch watching Nigerian movies on Africa Magic, with the kitchen completely empty and no food in sight. "Alice, what's going on? Where is dinner?" Thomas would ask, trying to keep his frustration under control. "Ah, Thomas, I'm tired. Can't you just buy food on your way home? There's Mr. Biggs around the corner," Alice would respond without even looking away from the television. The house became a complete disaster. Dirty clothes piled up in the bedroom. The bathroom became filthy, with soap scum and stains everywhere. The kitchen was a nightmare. Unwashed plates from days ago sat in the sink, pots with dried food stuck to them were scattered on the counter, and houseflies buzzed around everywhere. The smell was terrible. What shocked Thomas even more was that Alice herself stopped taking care of her appearance. She would stay in the same nightgown for days without bathing. Her hair became rough and unkempt. The beautiful, fresh-faced village girl he had married seemed to have completely disappeared. Thomas tried talking to her multiple times. "Alice, what happened to you? You used to be so clean and organized. Now look at her house. Look at yourself. What's wrong?" Alice would become defensive. "What do you mean? I'm fine. You're just too demanding. You men always want women to be your slaves. I'm not your housemaid, you know." Thomas was completely confused. "But Alice, this is what you told me you loved to do. You said you enjoyed cooking and keeping house. What changed?" "I've changed, okay? I'm in Lagos now, not in the village. I want to enjoy my life. Why should I be cooking and cleaning every day like a slave? Get a housemaid if you want someone to clean." Thomas couldn't believe what he was hearing. This was not the woman he had married. He tried to be patient, thinking maybe she was going through some adjustment period. But weeks passed and things only got worse. Thomas started leaving for work without eating breakfast. He would buy lunch at the office canteen. In the evening, he would stop at a restaurant to eat before coming home because he knew there would be no food waiting for him. His shirts became wrinkled and stained because there was no one to wash them properly. He started taking his clothes to a laundry service nearby. His colleagues at the bank began to notice. "Oga Thomas, what's happening to you? Your clothes are not ironed well these days. Are you okay?" His supervisor, Mr. Adeleke, asked one day with concern. Thomas was too embarrassed to explain the situation at home. He would just smile and make excuses. The situation became unbearable. Thomas would come home every evening to the same scene. Alice sprawled on the couch, the house in complete disarray, flies buzzing around the dirty kitchen, and no food anywhere. Sometimes Alice wouldn't even acknowledge his presence when he walked in. One evening, Thomas snapped. "Alice, I can't continue like this. This is not what I signed up for. You completely deceived me. You pretended to be a good wife for 3 months, and now you've shown your true colors." Alice jumped up from the couch, anger flashing in her eyes. "Deceived you? How dare you? I'm tired of this marriage. You are always complaining. Cook this, clean that. I'm not a machine. Maybe you should have married a robot instead of a human being. You are the one who told me you loved to cook and clean. You promised to take care of our home. Well, I changed my mind. Is that a crime? I got tired of all that village nonsense. I want to live like a Lagos big woman now. Is there any law against that?" Thomas stood there, completely shocked and heartbroken. He realized that Jennifer had been right all along. Character had nothing to do with someone being from the village or the city. It was about the individual person, and Alice had simply been pretending to be someone she wasn't. That night, Thomas packed a small bag and did something he never thought he would do. He called Jennifer. "Jennifer, can I come stay with you for a while? I can't stay in this house anymore," Thomas said, his voice heavy with defeat. Jennifer, being the good friend she was, didn't say, "I told you so," even though she had every right to. "Of course, Thomas, come over. My spare bedroom is always available for you." Thomas moved into Jennifer's apartment that very night. Jennifer lived in a beautiful 3-bedroom flat in Victoria Island. She had the space and didn't mind helping her friend during this difficult time. For the next few weeks, Thomas slept in Jennifer's guest room. Every morning, he would wake up to the smell of fresh coffee and breakfast. Jennifer's house was always clean and organized, not because she was trying to impress anyone, but simply because that was who she was as a person. "So, you see, Thomas," Jennifer said one morning as they sat having breakfast before work, "character is character. It doesn't matter if someone is from the village or the city." Alice pretended to be someone she wasn't just to get married. She knew exactly what you were looking for, so she acted the part until she got what she wanted. Thomas nodded sadly, eating the delicious egg and plantain Jennifer had prepared. "You were right, Jennifer. I was so foolish and stubborn. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you." "It's okay, my friend. We all make mistakes. The important thing is that you learn from this experience." Meanwhile, back at Thomas's apartment, Alice was going about her life without a care in the world, at least for the first few days. She enjoyed having the whole place to herself. She would watch movies all day, eat snacks, and not worry about cooking or cleaning anything. But after a week passed with no sign of Thomas, Alice began to worry. She tried calling his phone, but Thomas had blocked her number. She sent text messages that were undelivered. She started to panic. One afternoon, as Alice was coming back from the market, a middle-aged woman, Mrs. Adebayo, who lived in the apartment next door, stopped her. "Alice, my dear, how are you?" Mrs. Adebayo asked with a concerned expression. "I'm fine, ma," Alice replied, though she was clearly not fine. Mrs. Adebayo looked around to make sure no one else was listening, then leaned in closer. "My dear, I've been seeing your husband. He's been staying with another woman." Alice's heart nearly stopped. "What? Another woman? Which woman?" "I don't know her name, but I've seen them several times. She's a beautiful woman, very well dressed, looks like a lawyer or something professional.
They seem very close. I thought you should know." Alice's mind began to race. Another woman? Her husband was leaving her for another woman? The reality of her situation suddenly hit her like a thunderbolt. That evening, Alice tried calling Thomas again from a different phone number. This time, he picked up. "Thomas, Thomas, please, where are you? Why did you leave me? Please come back home." Alice cried desperately. "Alice, I'm not coming back to that dirty house. You've shown me who you really are. I made a mistake marrying you, but I'm not going to continue living in misery. Please, Thomas, I'm sorry. I promise I'll change. I'll go back to being the way I was before. Please, give me another chance." But Thomas had heard these promises before, and they meant nothing to him anymore. "Alice, you've made many promises and you've broken all of them. I don't believe you anymore." He hung up the phone. Alice began to cry. For the first time since she came to Lagos, she felt truly afraid. What if Thomas divorced her? What would she do? Where would she go? She couldn't go back to the village in shame. The fear of losing everything, the comfortable life, the nice apartment, the status of being a banker's wife, finally motivated Alice to take action. The very next morning, Alice woke up at 5 in the morning, something she hadn't done in months. She looked around at the disaster that had become her home and felt ashamed. She began to clean with an energy she hadn't shown in a long time. She started with the kitchen, spending 3 hours scrubbing every pot, every plate, every surface until everything sparkled. She washed the bathroom until it shone. She washed all the dirty clothes and hung them to dry. She swept and mopped every room. She threw away all the trash and cleared out the houseflies. Then she bathed herself properly, washed her hair and plaited it neatly. She put on a nice dress and even applied a little makeup. She looked in the mirror and saw the person she used to be, or at least the person she had pretended to be. Every day after that, Alice maintained this routine. She would wake up early, clean the entire house, cook delicious meals even though Thomas wasn't there to eat them, and keep herself looking presentable. She was hoping that somehow Thomas would find out about her transformation and come back home. What Alice didn't know was that Thomas had been secretly checking on her. Every few days, he would drive by the apartment complex in the evening, park at a distance, and observe from afar. He would sneak into the compound late at night and peek through the window to see what was happening inside. At first, he saw the same old mess, but after a few weeks, he noticed something different. The lights were on in the kitchen. Through the window, he could see Alice cooking. The living room looked clean. There were fresh flowers on the table. Thomas didn't want to get his hopes up. He thought maybe Alice was just putting on another show, just like she had done when they first got married. He decided to watch and wait longer to see if the change was genuine or just another act. Meanwhile, living with Jennifer was becoming complicated in a different way. Jennifer continued to be a perfect host, cooking, keeping her house immaculate, and being a supportive friend. But something unexpected was happening. Jennifer began to develop feelings for Thomas. She had known him for so many years as just a friend, but having him in her house, sharing meals together, talking late into the night about life and relationships, it was changing things. One evening, after they had finished dinner together, Jennifer sat close to Thomas on the couch as they watched a movie. She was wearing a beautiful dress and perfume, and Thomas noticed that she was looking at him differently. "Thomas," Jennifer said softly, "I know this might be a strange time to say this, but I need to be honest with you. These past few weeks, having you here, I've realized something. I care about you as more than just a friend." Thomas was stunned. He looked at Jennifer, his longtime friend who had always been there for him, who had warned him about rushing into marriage, who had taken him in when he had nowhere else to go. "Jennifer, I don't know what to say. You are one of the most important people in my life, but I'm still married to Alice. This is complicated." "I know it's complicated," Jennifer said, moving even closer. "But you're clearly not happy with her. You've been living here for weeks. Maybe this is happening for a reason. Maybe we're meant to be together." She reached out and touched his hand. Thomas felt confused. Part of him was flattered. Jennifer was a beautiful, intelligent, successful woman. Any man would be lucky to have her. But another part of him felt that something wasn't right about this situation. Jennifer, you are amazing, but I need time to think about everything. My marriage, my future, everything is so uncertain right now. Jennifer smiled and squeezed his hand. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. But Thomas's instincts told him something important. He had been so focused on what he thought he wanted in a wife, a simple village girl, that he had missed the real issue. He had been looking for someone to fill a role rather than looking for genuine compatibility and character. And now, watching Jennifer behave in a way that seemed calculated, making her move at his most vulnerable moment, Thomas realized something crucial. Jennifer was supposed to be his friend. A true friend would support him and encourage him to work on his marriage, not try to take advantage of his marital problems to start a romantic relationship. This realization hit
Are you
Thomas
okay?
hard. Maybe Jennifer's feelings
You
were
seem a bit
genuine,
worried.
but the timing and the way she was approaching it felt wrong. It felt manipulative, almost like what Alice had done, presenting a perfect image to get what she wanted. The next morning, Thomas made a decision. He packed his belongings while Jennifer was at work and left her a note thanking her for her hospitality, but explaining that he needed to handle his own problems. He also gently declined her romantic interest, explaining that he valued their friendship too much to complicate it further and that he needed to sort out his marriage first.
Thomas drove back to his apartment, his heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and determination. When he opened the door, he was shocked by what he saw. The apartment was completely transformed. Everything was spotlessly clean. The pleasant smell of cooking filled the air. Fresh flowers sat on the dining table, which was set beautifully. And Alice looked like the woman he had first met in the village, neat and presentable, standing in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. When Alice heard the door open and turned to see Thomas, her eyes filled with tears. "Thomas, you came back," she cried, running toward him. Thomas held up his hand, stopping her before she could embrace him. "Alice, wait. We need to talk." They sat down in the living room, which was now clean and comfortable, and had the most honest conversation of their marriage. "Alice, what happened? Why did you change so much after we got married? Why did you pretend to be someone you weren't?" Thomas asked, his voice filled with hurt and confusion. Alice wiped her tears and took a deep breath. "Thomas, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. The truth is, when I was in the village, I wanted to come to Lagos so badly. I wanted to escape the poverty, the hard work, the simple life. When your mother told me about you, a handsome banker from Lagos, I saw my opportunity. I knew exactly what you wanted, so I became that person. I acted like the perfect village girl who loved to cook and clean. But once we got married and I came to Lagos, I thought I could finally relax and enjoy the city life I had always dreamed about. I thought that once we were married, you would just accept me for whoever I wanted to be. I was selfish and foolish. I didn't think about your feelings or about the promises I had made." Thomas listened quietly as Alice continued. "But when I left, and when I heard you were staying with another woman, I realized what I was losing. Not just a comfortable life, but a good husband who loved me and took care of me. I realized that I destroyed something good because of my laziness and selfishness. These past few weeks, I've had time to think about who I really want to be. Not the fake village girl and not the lazy city woman either. I want to be someone I can be proud of, someone who keeps promises and takes care of her home and her husband because it's the right thing to do, not because I'm pretending." She looked directly into Thomas's eyes. "I know I hurt you badly. I know you have every right not to trust me or forgive me, but I'm asking you to give me one more chance. Not because I'm afraid to lose this lifestyle, but because I've genuinely learned my lesson. I want to be a real partner to you,
not someone playing a role. Thomas sat in silence for a long moment. He thought about everything that had happened, his stubborn insistence on marrying a village girl, his refusal to listen to Jennifer's warning, Alice's deception, the miserable months of living in a dirty house, Jennifer's unexpected romantic interest, and now Alice's tearful confession. He realized that they both had made mistakes. He had been foolish to judge women based on where they came from rather than who they were as individuals. He had put Alice in a box and expected her to stay there forever. And Alice had been wrong to deceive him and to think that marriage meant she could stop making any effort. Thomas finally said, "Alice, I'm willing to give this marriage another chance, but things have to be different. We both need to be honest about who we are and what we want. I can't have you pretending to be someone you're not, and you can't expect me to accept a complete lack of effort in our marriage. We need to find a balance together as real partners." Alice nodded eagerly, tears of relief streaming down her face. Yes, I promise. No more pretending, no more lies. We'll be honest with each other and work together. And Alice, there's something I need to be honest about too. While I was away, I stayed with Jennifer, my friend. She expressed romantic interest in me, but I realized that what I have with you, even with all our problems, is worth fighting for. But you need to know that I was tempted, and that should tell you how serious our problems were. Alice felt a pang of jealousy hearing about Jennifer, but she understood that Thomas was being honest with her, just as she had been honest with him. Thank you for telling me, and thank you for choosing to come back and give us another chance. That evening, Alice prepared a feast fit for a king. She made Thomas's favorite meal, pounded yam with bitter leaf soup filled with fish, goat meat, and stockfish. She also prepared fried plantains and even bought a bottle of palm wine to celebrate his return. As they sat down to eat together, really together for the first time in months, they both felt like they were starting fresh. The food was delicious, the conversation was genuine, and the atmosphere was filled with hope. "This soup is incredible, Alice," Thomas said, savoring each bite. Alice smiled, a real smile this time, not a fake one. "Thank you, my husband, and I promise this is who I really am now. Not perfect, but someone who tries her best and keeps her promises." Over the following months, Alice proved that her change was genuine. She maintained their home beautifully, cooked regularly, and took pride in being a good wife. But there was a difference from the first 3 months. Now, she was also honest about her limitations and her needs. "Thomas, I'm tired today. Can we order food instead of me cooking?" she would say on some evenings, and Thomas would agree without any problem. "I need help with the cleaning this week. Can we hire someone to come once a week to do the deep cleaning?" Alice would ask, and they would discuss it and find solutions together. Thomas also learned to appreciate what he had and not to take Alice for granted. He would help with dishes sometimes, or pick up groceries on his way home, or surprise Alice with small gifts to show his appreciation. They learned to communicate honestly, to share responsibilities, and to be real partners instead of playing the roles they thought they should play. One day, several months later, Jennifer called Thomas. They had maintained their friendship, though it was a bit awkward at first after Jennifer's romantic confession. "Thomas, how are things going with Alice?" Jennifer asked. "Actually, Jennifer, things are good, really good. We've both changed and grown. We're learning to honor each other and to work as a team." "I'm genuinely happy for you, Thomas." And this time, her words felt sincere. "I'm sorry for the way I acted."
And this time, her words felt sincere. "I'm sorry for the way I approached things when you were staying with me. I realized later that I was being selfish, taking advantage of your vulnerability. You're a good friend, and I shouldn't have complicated our friendship like that." "It's okay, Jennifer. We all make mistakes. I learned a lot from everything that happened. I learned not to judge people based on stereotypes, and I learned that a good marriage requires honesty, effort, and partnership from both people. Those are valuable lessons. I'm glad you and Alice worked things out." As Thomas hung up the phone, he thought about the journey he and Alice had been through. It hadn't been easy,
And there had been moments when he thought the marriage was completely over, but they had both been willing to change, to be honest, and to fight for their relationship. He walked into the kitchen where Alice was preparing dinner. Nothing fancy, just simple jollof rice and chicken, but made with love and care. "Need any help?" Thomas asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Alice leaned back into his embrace, smiling. "Yes, you can help me cut the vegetables." As they walked together in the kitchen, laughing and talking about their day, they both knew they had learned something important. Character wasn't about being from the village or the city. It wasn't about playing a perfect role or meeting someone else's expectations. It was about being honest, being committed, and being willing to grow and change together. And they lived happily ever after, not because everything was perfect, but because they had learned how to be real with each other and to build a genuine partnership based on honesty, respect, and love. Moral of the story: true character has nothing to do with where someone comes from, but everything to do with who they are inside. Stereotypes and assumptions can lead us astray. The foundation of a good marriage is honesty, communication, genuine effort from both partners, and the willingness to grow together. Pretending to be someone you are not will eventually fail, and the truth will always reveal itself. Second chances are possible when both people are willing to change and be truthful with each other. The end.